And we are live. Yo, it's been so long.
Brother.
So
It's been a
long.
week.
That's it. No, we didn't do nothing last week.
That's what I'm saying. It's just been a week.
Been over a week. 2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks, man. It's been 2 weeks. Sorry. A lot of family stuff was going on, y'all. I apologize to everybody. Real talk. Uh, but tonight we get to talk about something that's been blowing up social media, the sports world, especially NFL world, man.
Mm-hmm.
These new rule changes and how we feel about
Rules.
them. Who likes rules?
Rules.
But we're gonna go with been 12. There have been 12 rule changes that have been implemented uh, over the weekend or over last week, and three of them kind of hit real hard in my opinion. Three hit real hard. The first one is the one that's been every defensive player's nightmare. Every defensive player's nightmare
This is the most
is
worst rule ever.
the hip drop rule. So it was changed by the committee to amend Rule 12, Section 2, to eliminate potential dangerous tackling technique. The hip drop rule. Now, me personally, I'm not sure, but I can understand a grown man, 250 pounds, barreling down on a running back or a receiver or a quarterback, and in the court they slip through, but they slip past, but you get grabbed either way, and you pull them down. This is going to be very tough to try to adjust how you tackle somebody because this is a dangerous sport. We knew that coming in. I get where we're trying to eliminate the dangers, but you're still got two men, 250 pounds, going about 4.5, 40 at each other.
Yeah, I agree. Um, I hate the rule mainly because it's like now, how do you expect defenders to play defense? Like we're seeing rule changes where it's like, you know, I get the rough in the passing rule that they created because you try and protect the quarterback, but because you can't, drill a quarterback and dig him into the ground.
Yeah,
But also, too, like you had the other rule change about the whole defensive receiver, which I understood, but also as a defender, it's hard because, you can't blame the defender on where the ball placement goes where the quarterback throws it. If the quarterback throws in an area that's going to get his receiver jacked up, you can't penalize the defense for that and find the DB or linebacker, whoever hits the receiver for that.
yeah,
That's the quarterback's fault for putting it in a bad spot.
agreed.
And so now we're in another year where now we added another rule that can cost you 15 yards to where it's like if you grab somebody from behind to tackle them, it's sports. Like, I mean, it's football. You're going in there knowing 100% that at any moment you can get hurt.
True.
And it's, go ahead.
What I was thinking that the rule was more about people picking people up
Mm,
and slamming them down. That's what I felt the rule was more mainly focused on. Because I mean, yeah, you are freakishly strong to pick up another grown man and drop him that way.
hey, Derwin
But
James did it to Kelsey.
I mean, oh God, it's terrible. But it's it's dangerous because one, you could hurt his spine, you could give him a concussion. That's a dangerous part of the play that's unnecessary. But just grabbing somebody and tackle him, like, oh, I'm coming up from behind him. How else am I supposed to tackle him? He's running away from me, so I'm literally lunging at him to grab him, and my body weight's gonna fall on his legs. I'm trying to adjust so I don't fall on his legs. And then what happens? He gets away. Now I basically lost my job because I allowed him to get away.
Yeah. I think this rule had also became too because of what happened Thursday night in Baltimore against Cincinnati, where we saw Mark Andrews literally in the first drive in the red zone. He got, you know, he made a pass. As soon as he went for a football move, he got dragged from behind and his ankles got caught under the defender's leg and he messed his ankle up and was out for the remainder of the year till the postseason.
But that
So,
happens though. Like you're
right, that's what I'm saying.
like that's not something a defender can stop from doing. Like there's really no way that I'm going to be able to tackle you and I not fall on you.
Right. And I think that's why I think it's a bad rule because you know it's just a terrible rule because it's like one of the things where it's like it comes part of the game, just like and when it comes to playing basketball, just because you're winding up to try and block a shot, you can miss the whole ball, but because the wind up happened and I accidentally hit you, like which is a foul, or I hit you across the face, it wasn't intentionally and shouldn't be called an intentional foul. It's just a regular common foul because I was going for the ball. So I think this is along those same lines. You're tackling the defender, making sure he doesn't score, but it's not the defender's fault that like the receiver's legs got caught under. He's
Yeah.
trying to make sure he stops him. So what like where a defender's supposed to do, just let the dude just run past them and wait for the next defender in line to go and like hit him in front.
Or just hit them and hold them up. Like I don't understand what we're doing or how this is going to be implemented. And I agree with some of the NFL players and especially what's his name? What's that DB's name that was on First Take?
Who they're usually on First Take with them.
Richard Sherman. Richard Sherman.
Oh,
Because he was like, "Look, you guys gonna have to show us how you want us to tackle."
he's
And it's
usually on
weird.
Fox. He's not on First Take.
Was
He's on
no, I think no, he wasn't on Fox. I don't know if he was on Fox. I
his
remember him
main.
saying it,
Yeah, he's on
but
Fox now.
okay. Well, he was saying, "Look, you guys got to show us how to do this because a committee who most of the people either played football back in the day or have never played football." Oh, appreciate you. It was undisputed.
Yeah, undisputed on Fox. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, appreciate you. Krypton, appreciate you. You got to show somebody how this is supposed to be played out because you're making a rule and you aren't on the field at that moment.
yeah,
You don't understand that. Hey, I got another grown man who's trying to either run me over or run past me, and how else am I supposed to tackle this man? I don't understand it. I don't. We both don't agree with this rule whatsoever, and neither do any of the defenses because eventually we're just going to be like, hey, let's put flags on because that's all we got.
yeah. It's going to come down to a point to where it's going to turn to flag football to where then we have no football at all. If
And
these
ain't nobody
rules,
trying to see flag football.
right, we want to see Lil Johnny and Billy, we want to see them play flag football when they're little kids. We don't want to see grown men playing flag football.
No.
I just think it's a bad rule in general. Like I understand safety for players. I understand you want to make sure the game is safe, but you gotta understand injuries come with sports.
Yeah, it does.
And at the end of the day, like players know that. So you gotta move on.
I mean,
I
that's
saw
why they took away a lot of the stuff like the crown of the helmet hits, where you can't dive at a player.
like
With
those
the helmet.
those I agree with though.
Reason. That's reasonable because that's dangerous. What if you miss and then end up going at his knee with your helmet? Like you're not. That's not a valid way to tackle somebody.
Right.
Um, but it's just I get we're trying to validate tackling, but we have to do it in a right mindset. And redoing random rules just for the sake of it at this point doesn't really make too much sense. And if somebody else has a better idea or disagrees with what we're saying, please let us know because you might be the only person.
You
But
may need to take
we
Roger
will hear you
Goodell's
out.
spot at this point.
What's up?
So you may need to just take Roger Goodell's spot at this point if you got a better rule.
Like, come on, man. This is crazy to me. Like, why are we changing certain rules? And I feel like that should have been a rule that can only be changed by players. Like, I think there should be certain rules that be changed by players, certain rules that can be changed by the owners, and certain rules that can be changed by the committee itself. Like, that makes sense. Like, owners, you worry about the front office type rules and all that stuff, the trade deadlines and all that's a you thing. Players don't need to be
Yeah.
involved in that. But as far as the football field, coaches and players only need to be able to change those rules to fit and help them. And if you're going to change it to benefit one side or another, you're not going to have a good football game. You're not going to have good football at all, and it's causing too much discord just by changing it, not talking to anybody. That hey, we're thinking about changing this. You want to talk to somebody first?
I mean, the thing is too, we haven't. Well, maybe others have heard, but me personally, I haven't heard any player actively or that has retired in the past made a complaint about that rule. The only thing players have said was, "Hey, it's just an unfortunate incident that happened. You know, we still got to keep playing." But
yeah. As far as defensive players, I feel that I haven't even heard any offensive players say anything about that rule at all.
Well, I don't think the offense is going to say anything about it because they know, they probably in their mind they're like, hey, I mean, yeah, we get it. It keeps us safe from getting ankle tackled and like hurt and stuff. But at the same time, when they see their own defense on their team get called for it, it plays a factor for them. So they're probably like, man, this is stupid.
Yeah,
Like,
this hurts us both ways. If I'm on the field or not on the field, like it hurts completely.
yeah. So I think offenses, you're not going to hear Joe Burrow, Hopkins, Lamar, you're not going to hear a lot of those offensive players say anything because it's going to affect them regardless.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think, you know what, these players they just going to have to learn to adapt to it. Let's see how this rule works this first year. If it becomes a common thing where it's flag after flag, which I feel like it will be,
I think the first few weeks are probably going to be a lot of flags. They're going to be tons of flags because as a referee, we're looking now. This is a highlighted thing, so every game, like, hey, we're looking for this. This is going to be really highlighted, and that's gonna hurt the game. It's going to hurt the flow of the game. It's not you're going to think it's going to be fast paced. No, it's a flag. You just slowed the game down.
Expecting 2,000 yards from King Henry. Hey, I'm gonna tell you right now, with that offense that Baltimore got,
know good and well he might just get to 1,000. I'm gonna be honest with you. They got a good running system, but the fact that some of his runs are going to be taken away by Lamar Jackson,
I'm gonna tell you, I don't think they will be.
You don't think so?
I think it's going to limit Lamar from having to run because, look, you got Derrick Henry in your backfield. You got a great offensive line, and you mean to tell me Lamar is going to say, "Hey, I can throw the ball, but look, I can just check it down to Henry because I know that he's going to go upfield and get."
With the new rule, 2,000. We're gonna have 2,000-yard running backs now. That's what we doing. 2,000s. It's going. Apparently, that's a lot of people going to get 2,000 yards at this point. Not just
if that's going to be the case, then I'm calling it right now. Derek Singletary, Devin Singletary for the Giants. He's going to get 1,000 yards with us if this is the new rule change.
I can't even call it, man. I don't even want to talk about it. I'll complain a little bit later. But yeah, these rules is I just don't know what we're thinking about when we're deciding to change the rule. Really, it's confusing to me to see a change in a rule that may benefit one side or another.
It's almost like now it's like that sports in general, especially with football, it's like you can't even like touch a player. It's like almost like you got what's that video they showed, like you got to pick a player up and then just lightly like lay him down, you know.
Well, no, what is it? This two light skinned dudes who be doing rules and stuff or making fun of stuff. It was
Oh,
like, no,
Keith
you
Hill.
gotta look at him. You gotta look at him. You like, I got you. I got you. That's gonna be retarded, bro.
Bro, that's gonna be the funniest thing, man.
He'd be like, it's a flag. For what? You looked at him too hard. Stop it.
Like you can, it's like now you're not gonna be able to get away with anything.
Isn't you can't get away with I tackled the quarterback. You tackled him too hard. I don't know
Yep.
what else to do.
Yep. That's exactly what I said. I said this rule has started because of that Thursday night game against the Bengals when Mark Andrews got tackled by the hip and then got hurt because of that game specifically.
But that's where the tackling zone is. He between the hips and the shoulder. That's where you're supposed to tackle him.
I mean, unless the NFL is expecting these guys to like wrap up and push.
How the hell how you gonna wrap up Derrick Henry?
Yeah, you ain't wrapping up Derrick Henry.
I need about 4 people to wrap that man up now. So that's a big old dude.
You're gonna have to jump on top of his back and make sure he like loses his balance.
Matter of fact, not just him. You looking at tight ends that are that big too. Like, good Jesus.
Mark Andrews, for example.
Mark Andrews, and Njoku and Cleveland, like them some big dudes. They're not small. Kelsey is not small.
Yeah.
Like, what do you expect them to really do on the defensive side of the ball, especially if you're a cornerback? Like,
yeah,
this is getting out of control. We're gonna have to start breeding some 6'5", 350 dudes that can run a 4.4.
Shoot.
The player needs to hit the weights.
At this point,
was gonna be hitting the weights. They're gonna be shoulder checking everybody.
At this point, if this is how it's gonna be, they might as well just be like, you know what, we do an open trial for anybody who want to play for an NFL team.
Man, this is crazy. Man, it's wild to see the one of the more physical games seem less physical than hockey, where they're allowed to fight. You're allowed to ram somebody into a board. Like, this is a physical game.
So with hockey, I mean, it's to a certain extent. You could check them into the board, but if you ram them into the board to where
you're not riding them, but if he's on the board, it's gonna get checked.
Yeah, if they're a defenseless player and you hit them across the board, then that's when you get penalized.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. Or if you hit them like on open ice when they're like not paying attention, like blindside hitting. Yeah. That's just the only thing that you can't do in NHL.
See, but you got dudes that's physically fighting with their fists on the ice.
Oh yeah,
get knocked out. Like they're physical in NHL. Like even in college, like that's physical.
It's unfortunate though, at least with the NHL, but the NHL isn't how it used to be, where it'd be like, you know, when they stop play after the goalie stops the puck, it's like, and you still got dudes trying to like push each other and swing at each other. Now it's like you got officials sprinting like on the ice to the goal to make sure no more extracurricular activity happens.
Like, I mean, but that's good because that keeps a lot of people safe from, you know, unnecessary swings or unnecessary actions. So I understand the safety part of all the sports. You know, the less aggression that we have in the NBA in the post. Like you can't push them, you can't push off or push them in the post or anything like that. The hooking, because you know, they lower the aggression in the post. Then again, at the same time, so did the NBA players in entirety when they stopped really going to the post. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was very less aggressive across the board. But I understood the premise of the situations and how aggressive some players used to be. I'm not gonna name any names right on test. But in football, same thing. You got guys who dive at people. Ryan Clark. I watched like a couple of highlights of him.
Ryan Clark literally said so himself that he is the reason why they made these rules.
And I don't disagree. But
I
at the same time,
agree.
I can't get over the fact Ryan Clark was on their podcast and was like, "Oh, I can tackle Derrick Henry." I was like, "Yo, you wild." Oh,
But
me
you
and him one on one in the lane? No, no, sir. I
but
wouldn't.
you got to think about Ryan Clark was like everyone talked about Troy Polamalu's hit, and Ryan Clark was literally like
I mean, he laid the boom, but could he lay the boom in a legal manner?
right. And I think that's where he finally got to the line and was like, "Hey, man, what I was doing could have affected my life personally," which is why I think he did end up having the shorter season or career. Let's make
Oh,
teams go.
that's cryptic, man. I like that. That is a good
I
thought
like this
too.
question.
Yeah. Cryptic says, will this make teams go back to bigger linebackers? I feel like Patrick Queen and Devin White pounds suffer from this. I agree. This is
Yeah,
definitely going to make them want to have bigger linebackers. But you also remember that some of the bigger linebackers, especially coming out of college, depending on the school, do have a lot of injury problems. I don't have no clue why, but a lot of guys have injury problems. The bigger they are, you look at LVE um, from Cowboys who just retired. That's a bigger dude. He had injury problems in college. He has injury problems now. I mean, this last one was not his fault.
it
Very
wasn't.
very dirty play. Not gonna say it. Just gonna walk
Yeah,
away from it. But it is what it is. Very dirty plays happen. But I think that a bigger linebacker is probably going to be more of the focal point. The problem is that some of the bigger linebackers aren't as good as some of these smaller linebackers who can move from side to side.
I was gonna say. I mean, like your biggest linebackers really is like the ones who you got on the edges now. They
True.
they have the smaller linebackers play in the middle of the field to watch everything, but your bigger ones are edge rushers.
I mean,
Really.
depending on your system, if you're running the 4-3, then you're gonna have maybe like one. Your middle linebacker is probably gonna be pretty big, but when you look at the 3-4, there's probably going to be like the two middle backers are going to be a little bit more substantial
Mm-hmm.
compared to your outsides, but some of the outsides are basically rushers, so they're not involved in some of these plays that you see
Because
down.
I was gonna say like dudes like Bobby Okereke and McFadden, at least for my team, the Giants, they're smaller than Kayvon Thibodeau and Aziz Ojolari and Brian Burns.
Yeah.
Like, and they're edge rushers. They're linebackers, but they're like edge rushers. And I don't know how. Like, I mean, I've watched the Cowboys, and we know what Michael Parsons does. I'm not very familiar with y'all inside linebackers, how like in size they are compared to him.
I
But
mean, him and LVE is a lot bigger. Well, he was a lot bigger than Mika Parsons. Um, so he didn't do side to side very well, but that's you have some of the other linebackers that we had. Some of who did get hurt. Overshawn, who is a pretty big linebacker.
yeah,
Um, so I mean, you look at the 49ers, they have a variety of different linebackers that they have. Um, who's that? Warner.
yeah, Fred Warner.
Warner, like he's kind of I say he's kind of a tween, but I think he's more on the bigger side. But the way he moves doesn't make sense. It's just freak of nature.
Fred Warner is a linebacker, but he moves like he's Troy Polamalu. Like it just don't make sense.
Troy don't make sense at all. First off, if I see hair, double that guy. I don't know what he's about to do, but double him. Just know he coming off the top for no reason.
Man, so let's get to the second rule. The kickoff.
I'm excited.
I like this rule.
I don't know many people who've been watching basically we call spring football XFL, CFL
UFL now.
Just combined to be the what was it
UFL,
which they had this rule and it looked good. It looks promising. It's a little more excitement for the kickoff because you got a little bit more. I say a little bit more movement in my opinion.
Yeah, you get more spacing too, because
so,
with the kickoff now, you gotta wait till the return man catches it before anybody can make any movement. Kind of like what we was doing at Quantico with flag football before, like you gotta wait till a person like touches it before anybody. Well, nobody could block actually. You just kind of have to run back there and stand there. But it's something similar. But I like the rule. I think it makes it safer for a lot of return men and any players because when you're doing kickoff or punt return, that's like bodies are flying everywhere and you can get hit from at any time at any like second.
I think it gives us more opportunity for those explosive plays.
Yeah.
Which makes kickoff more exciting, not just a random going kick it to the end zone.
But I want to see those explosive plays. But I feel like if we have too many kickoffs that like turn into easy touchdowns, I feel like they may go back to the original because it's
I don't think it's going to be going back to the original. I think what's going to end up happening is that they move the line either where the two lines are. They either move it back or move it up. I'm assuming they're going to move it back a little bit, maybe 10 yards. So it prevents from having those big plays. So you can kind of cover that a little bit easier. But I do expect to see a couple of big plays because if I'm not mistaken, you can't kick the ball into the end zone. Or is that the UFL's rule where you can't kick it into the end zone?
I think that might be the UFL's rule. Anyway, by the way, shout out to Destroying too. Finally on a UFL team, man. Congrats to you. We all rooting for you.
Oh man, he already made a debut, pulling it out. I give him some credit on that.
Yeah, he beat DC Defenders, which the DC Defenders was looking like a nice ass team last year, and then I look at today's game and I was just like,
but you knew last year they started off slow too.
Well, they literally went undefeated.
Did they?
Yeah, they went undefeated. Their only loss was the championship.
Well, maybe because I watched the game, I felt like they didn't play. They started off the games. All the games were really they started off slow and they built up to, playing their actual potential. I guess their actual potential is them being a very tough team to beat, especially defensively. They're very well coached. I'll give them that.
And I think they're a lot older team from what I've seen. Even though you got all these players that used to play in the league, but I didn't even know DJ Swearinger was playing in the UFL until I watched today. And I didn't even hear about Swearinger since he was in Washington.
Good Lord. He was still balling.
Yeah, he's playing with DC, and then freaking Brad Wing still punting in the UFL. I was like,
they've been pulling out some guys, and I like to see the new faces more than I want to see the old ones. DJ was he was.
Everybody who watched Washington, who was in the NFC East, knows that man.
Yeah, he was. He laid the boom. He laid that boom.
He used to piss offenses off I used to hate him.
I didn't hate him as much because we beat him anyway.
I did because at the time that was coming down to the point where it was the end of Eli's, run with us, and Washington was arguably, well, to their fans, they arguably had the best defense in the division, which I disagree with. They just had a bunch of Alabama names. Because that's when they had Swearinger, Clinton Diggs, Landon Collins.
Sorry. I don't know what you want me to do.
Yeah, so.
I mean, that time is probably about to be over with.
Hey, I mean, we're going to see what Washington does this year. We are definitely.
I mean, they literally just pulled like half of the Cowboys players to their team, so I don't know what they got going on, what's brewing, but we'll see.
Dan Quinn, man. Dan Quinn, these players obviously like him.
I mean, I thought he was a very good coach. Problem is that he didn't adjust well. And that might be his biggest downfall, is that he's not a great adjuster. I mean, hopefully he gets some coaches that'll help him adjust, but
my thing with the Commanders is, and I'm going to say it right now on camera, I'm going to say it because I also heard on Sports PSP's podcast from Champ. If the Commanders want to do well this season, their focus for that first round pick they have at number 2 does not need to be QB.
It's going to, because they need a QB.
It's no. Look what they need. They need to get an offensive line, because
they need all of those.
Because think about it. They went out free agency, and people want to say, "Oh, they had a good free agency." I think they say that because of the names they picked up. But you got to think too. They picked up Austin Eckler, Wagner. They picked up all these guys who are like, they're still in the league and they're producing, but they're out of their prime. I mean, you still got to focus on an O-line to protect your quarterback. You can't go and get Jaden Daniels or Caleb Williams and then be like, boom, you know what? You're going to be the answer. And your O-line is still the same when they couldn't even protect Sam Howell.
True. That's very true. Cryptic, yeah, you're right. They do need a pass rush. Don't trust offensive coordinator. We'll see, because I think they brought in a new offensive coordinator, didn't they? They didn't keep.
They brought in Kellen Moore. It wasn't Kellen Moore.
You're right. It's Kellen Moore, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's Kellen Moore.
You're right. I don't trust the offensive coordinator either. The dude gonna say he gonna do some stuff and then don't actually do it.
Well, was it Washington or was it Philly?
Kellen Moore has gone from Dallas, where he was.
Yeah. Kellen Moore is actually with the Eagles, so that's the Eagles' problem.
Even
that's
worse
the Eagles' problem.
How they gonna go from okay to bad? Oh my God, Eagles are terrible. Oh
yeah, that's
we don't have to worry. We have the talent. We just have.
They got Cliff Kingsbury. That's who they got. Ooh. Washington's got Cliff Kingsbury, the Arizona Cardinals' old head coach.
I don't think that's a bad thing. I think he's a very he's West Coast format,
West Coast style offense.
Yeah, so that's going to be interesting to bring that here if they have the receivers to deal with. I don't think they have the receivers to deal with that we have to deal with, so I don't worry about it until they have certain receivers that can explode.
They lost Curtis Samuel. Curtis Samuel is with.
They ain't got nothing.
Yeah, they still got
McLaurin.
They still got McLaurin, and they still got Jahan Dotson.
I mean, Dotson looked good. I don't think he fits the West Coast offense, but we'll see how he plays out. McLaurin, fine, especially because he plays in the slot mostly.
He just wasn't getting the ball this year.
He couldn't get the ball.
Yeah, he couldn't get the ball because that O-line couldn't protect him.
About as bad as the Giants O-line.
Hey man, at least we, when we play, for some reason, when we play Washington, we can protect our quarterback.
Because as Kripke said, they didn't have
Yeah,
pass. They don't have no pass rush. I mean,
they
yeah, they
don't.
got Dante Fowler Jr., but even with Dallas, he didn't produce enough. Especially when you have so many, so many dominant defensive ends
Mm-hmm.
on that team. He didn't even produce well enough to stay on the team. Personally, I thought he was going to be gone anyway. Um, I mean, if you're across from Parsons, you get a 1-on-1. Come on, dog.
Yeah.
Not don't think it don't happen. He getting double teamed and triple teamed all the way down. It don't matter. You should have a 1-on-1. Even it is the best offensive lineman on the team, which is the left tackle. You got to at least produce at least half the time. I don't think he's got that in him. I think that has been gone since he was in Atlanta. I don't think he's that 8 sack a year kind of person. Probably give you about 4 or 5. And there won't be game changing sacks. It's just a regular sack.
I'll say this: the Washington with Dan Quinn, you do become a defensive minded team, but the problem is I just don't think they have that defense like Dallas does, where you had Dan Quinn over there, where it was like you had the players for the system you want to run. In Washington, you don't have those players, and your draft mainly is going to be on fixing that O line, getting a new quarterback. Because right now, clearly you don't. Even though y'all got Mariota probably is not going to be the starter.
I mean,
But
depends on what quarterback you end up getting.
yeah,
In my opinion, if you decide that your first pick is that and your second pick is O line, that isn't a bad route to go. Me personally, I think they would be even more dangerous if they went O line first and then got a quarterback like Bo Nix or which I doubt will be on the board, but
I mean, I say get somebody. There's great offensive linemen that are in this draft this year.
this is very solid for the offensive line.
This is probably the most solid offensive line that we've seen in the past decade in the draft.
We hope. It looks solid.
Well, we're
On
hoping.
paper, it looks solid. In college, it looks solid. But in NFL, it seems to be something totally different about the NFL.
Yeah, because we said the same thing around the year Baker Mayfield got drafted. When that draft class of quarterbacks, we said this would be the best quarterback class ever, and the only two people in that class that are still in the league that are actually starters is Josh Allen and Baker Mayfield.
Good.
Sam Darnold's not even starting, and Josh Rosen, I don't even think he's in the league anymore.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I think Josh Rosen got a terrible look. He went to a team.
Yeah.
He went to a team that expected him to just pull the whole offense with nothing else. And I was like, dude, you ain't got many weapons over there. That don't help him at all.
Yeah, he was in a bad situation. I think his situation was more of the other teams didn't really see anything from him, and I guess Arizona finally was just like, "All right, bro, we'll give you a shot." Like, I think he sold them on it from his confidence, because obviously he had the confidence, but
he had that Hollywood swag like somebody else has.
Yeah. And
that Hollywood swag gonna get y'all in trouble, bro.
Yeah.
But let's go with the third rule that I think is actually pretty, in my opinion, I'm pretty excited about the moving back of the trade deadline.
I just saw this rule today. Yeah. Honestly, the whole trade deadline in general, that's my favorite time, because my team always sucks, so I like to see what trades we can make to get our team better, to get my hopes up. But I'm gonna tell you, I'm just side note, my hopes aren't up this year. So
I mean, you never know what's going on around the trade deadline. You know, we don't know what
right.
team's gonna be sucking. Um, I mean, it could be Carolina, it could be somebody else, it could be Arizona again. We don't know who's gonna really be on that. We not gonna make it this year. Our star player just went down, or whatever the case may be. We're not hitting on all cylinders. We need to make a change. This guy's becoming a headache, or whatever. We need to make a move. There's so
And
many different aspects that change the trade deadline that help or hurt a team, and I like where it's moved to. Week 9, still get an opportunity to, if I like before you couldn't get that contract set or ready. It gives you a
right,
little bit more time to get that contract set and ready.
right. And I think me personally, the trade deadline, it works better now that they moved it like this, like you said, because you get more time. But also too, for me, it gives these owners, and well, not owners, but it gives these GMs time to be like, all right, we can actually put something together to make a move to get this player in a better situation for him and for our team. Or hey, this gives us more time to restructure some contracts, because you still got players who who GMs work on their contracts mid-season to fix up offers,
Yeah,
because there are a couple players who we felt like should have been traded versus them staying on the team, and then the team being like, well, we can't really give you nothing because we ain't got no money. So
yeah.
it's either you take the franchise tag or
I'll let you go.
we'll let you go. And so I think this will be a good thing for GMs to finally get more time and be like, you know what? We really can't do nothing after this season for this guy. Why don't we just trade him to a team that's got the cap space to get and has the money for him to get what he wants?
True, or trade and get something that we need. Like
Right,
we could trade for a pick because you obviously are not going to need your pick.
right.
So, I mean, I think this is a pretty good change. And I like that they changed that rule to move it. Um,
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence, the only QB left from his draft class.
that's pretty impressive, even though he hasn't done as much since like the first 2 years.
It's crazy. Him and Daniel Jones numbers literally are like the same, but yet Daniel Jones gets so much hate, and everybody acts like Trevor Lawrence is like the best QB in his division.
Let's see how he does without a really talented receiver in Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, all he has over there now is Evan Ingram and Kirk.
Yeah, I mean Kirk still takes top off, but I don't
That's when
see
he's
I don't
healthy.
see Ingram doing as much if he's now a number 2 receiving threat. I don't see that. But since
Um,
we're talking about it, let's hit up the free agencies because there's one that hit me up and I didn't even know until I looked on the free agency board. March 19th, Mike Williams to the Jets.
yo, that one right there.
Bugged me.
That's the one. How do you feel about it though?
It worries me.
For what though?
So now it puts them in a better situation, especially if Rodgers comes back healthy, because he's already a problem in itself. Now you're giving him a really talented receiver who catches balls. That's just what Calvin really does. He can catch. He can catch with the best of them. Um, So that kind of that elevates that offense a lot more
Mm-hmm.
to being more dangerous, to being that team that could dethrone the Chiefs and going into the championship game. Oh, don't say the vibes of the Eagles dream team. I wanted to get to your other comment, but we're gonna hit you up with this. No, I can't even claim that to be the Eagles dream team. I can't do it. Do you feel that the Jets give you vibes of the Eagles dream team?
The
Are you talking about
Jets.
the disappointment?
If he's talking about the disappointment, then yes, I agree with that.
Okay,
Because
cool. I'll give you disappointment.
yeah, the Titans were kind of dumb for that. They're willing to give Calvin Ridley money, but they could have kept AJ Brown if they just gave him that money.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna tell you right now, the second I heard the Titans didn't pay him, I knew it was gonna be somebody in our division that was gonna grab him, and I
It
knew it
couldn't. It
wasn't
could
the
have been
Giants.
us.
I was like, it's either the Cowboys or the Eagles. I said one of them two teams are gonna try and reach for him.
First off, we didn't have that money. I knew we couldn't get him at all. I wasn't even worried about that conversation. I knew it wasn't gonna be. I thought it was gonna be the Redskins, to be honest with you.
I thought it was going to, like I said, it was somebody from our division. When I saw it was the Eagles, I wasn't shocked, but I was mad.
Definitely.
Because
Disappointed old players. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Disappointed old players. The only person on there that I really feel is scary on that team, other than their defense, is Aaron Rodgers, because that dude he makes throws that most quarterbacks don't make. Even
yeah,
Patrick Mahomes doesn't make some of the throws he makes. Is he? I don't feel like he's a volume thrower, but he's not an accurate thrower either. But he's just, I don't know what it is, but he's a clutch quarterback. He's a clutch thrower. He makes clutch throws that are dots, and it pisses me off. I'm so glad he's not with Green Bay anymore. Can't lie to you.
oh yeah, you should be glad he's not. Even though no, I'm not gonna say it because we done ripping on y'all. I'm done
No,
ripping
y'all
on.
not. No, y'all not. Nobody's even Cowboys Nation's not done ripping on Cowboys Nation and not understanding that, oh, Dak's the problem. How is Dak the problem? Clutch
Uh,
not in the playoffs. I mean, he
nah,
almost won the championship.
I'll officially say I'm done ripping on y'all because I don't want it for me to be talking too much till when the season starts and then I receive backlash like I did last year.
Goose egg, that was funny. I don't think it's gonna be that way this year. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not really sure what I'm gonna expect from my team at all. Aaron Rodgers not clutching the playoffs. He hadn't been, but that whole team wasn't super clutch. The team didn't give him a bunch of help, and the defense wasn't as strong as it is right now. So I can't say that Aaron Rodgers has not been clutch,
The
because
biggest thing the Jets need right now is just an offensive line to protect him
yep.
because they didn't have it, and it was noted that they didn't have the offensive line to protect him. But I guess the Jets believe that if the Bengals were able to go to Super Bowl with a busted O line, that they could go too, and that wasn't the case.
I think they understand now that I think when you look at this, they go into this draft, you're going to see them picking up at least one or two offensive linemen. I will not be surprised if they pick up one or two offensive linemen. I won't at all.
I
Because
won't be surprised if they. I won't be surprised if they try and trade up to get another first rounder to go O line.
I don't think they need to, but depending on where they're looking at trying to get an offensive line, what position they're trying to look at, left tackle, center, I would go left tackle or center. But if I'm going for a guard, I'm not going first round guard. It doesn't make sense to me. It's not even one of the highest paid positions on the team.
Also in free agency, I mean, I know this ain't big news to anybody, but you know, I want to see at least this player do good, and that's Chase Young. He signed with a 1 year with the Saints. I think this is a good new start for him. He's, finally out of DC, out away from home. He was with the Niners, but the Niners clearly weren't going to sign him to anything. But I think with him and the Saints playing with Jordan over there on the D line, I think that's going to
Jordan. Yeah, that's an interesting group. I ain't gonna lie.
it will be. Yeah, Cam can mentor him. That's what I'm getting at. I think he can mentor him to get to the level that he wants to be. I feel like in Washington, he didn't have that mentor because you had Sweat there and you had Deron Payne. But, I mean, them dudes wasn't going to mentor anybody. That team has so much stuff going on with Dan Snyder there that that team was going to fall apart. It was going to break down. So
Yeah. Oh man, I thought it was gonna crumble into pieces, but they managed to keep some of the pieces together, especially after getting rid of Dan Snyder, toxic self.
shout out to Magic Johnson for trying to keep everybody together somewhat.
Been pretty good. They've been pretty productive, especially in free agency. Um, I think when I look at the most productive teams in free agency, it has to be the Eagles have done so much. Why do they have another quarterback?
First off, we need to really take a deep dive into how does the Eagles have this much money and where are they getting this money?
I don't know how they have so much money, especially they've been spending it year after year after year. Doesn't make sense. I haven't even heard of any restructures. That's the thing. Like who have you restructured to have so much money? Uh, crazy. I mean, I can understand why the Jets have so much money. They ain't been spending at all.
I think the Eagles front office, they just know how to convince players to come over there.
I don't know
Uh,
how. How are you convincing?
I mean,
How are you so convincing that you keep bringing these top players and not doing anything?
it's the city of brotherly love. You know, that's
Yeah,
where it comes
West
down to.
Philadelphia, born and raised.
The city of brotherly love. We here to, make sure that you have a well time spent here, that we, show you support while you here with us. And we just gonna it's like they just saying we just gonna give you a 1 year $7 million deal. You can get your
Yo,
ring and then bounce.
wait, is Hertz signed a second year his second contract, isn't he?
Yeah, he's on his second.
And they paid him. They didn't pay him top quarterback money yet.
No.
That's why.
Yeah. But they paid Saquon top running back money.
That makes sense.
Over the top running back money.
He got it. He got to prove it.
Yeah, that's the problem. He's got to prove it. And do I
He
want
ain't
to see
been
him
on the
fail?
top.
No, I don't want to see him fail. But I at least want to see him fail against the Giants. So I
In
can.
my opinion, in my opinion, I feel like one of the best running back in the league is Jacobs.
Yeah.
He's physical. He's speedy. He has all the qualities.
That Green Bay Packers team, though, they're young, but that's a team you have to watch out for.
Cryptic. He got a cap hit of 10 million and they still paying money out. Where is it from? Where? It makes no sense to me.
Yeah. The Eagles, the money they get, it's like the players they sign, it makes you so mad that when they broke the news that there is a possible scandal of tampering for Saquon, I was like, nah, y'all need to figure this out now. because I was like,
That don't mean nothing. All right, so he got tampering. He doesn't join them. He's joining somebody else and not y'all. That's what that
no,
means.
but we get their picks though. That's why it's a big deal.
I get that,
If you get in trouble for tampering, we get the picks.
and that's fine. Honestly, we don't want the Redskins picks. That's fine.
And you got to think about it too. The only person on that team, the only players on that team that the Eagles have drafted that have been, successful over there is Hurts, Smith, Dallas Goddard, and that's it that I can think of.
Zach Ertz.
Well, I'm saying that's playing there. That's playing there right
They're
now.
playing there right now. Well, you can go with Cox.
Cox retired.
They still played.
Oh yeah,
They still drafted him. He played for so fucking long.
and Kelsey. But that team has
thank you for fucking retiring. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Yeah, thanks for retiring. And even though Saquon was trying to recruit him to get out of retirement to come back.
Of course, because you know that's the best way to keep you towards 1,000 yards. To have one of the best centers in the league still on field.
Whoever that new center they get, oh my goodness.
Oh, they coming at everybody coming at them full force from the center.
They're gonna have to run. They're gonna have to actually run jet sweeps possibly.
Saquon is fast, but he ain't that fast.
They're gonna have to do jet sweeps without Saquon. That's what I'm getting.
Oh god, they're gonna have problems. It's gonna be a lot of rolling. Hurts are gonna be rolling out left and right. I can guarantee it.
Oh yeah, he will.
But did you see anybody else that caught your eye in free agency that was like, that may be a problem? Or
I've been keeping my eye a lot on the Bengals here with the T Higgins situation with him wanting to get traded. I'm keeping a close eye on that because I really do want to see, even though he has a franchise tag, are the Bengals going to respect him wanting to be traded? Because I think it's gotten to the point to where he's getting fed up with what's going on there. He wants to be a Bengal for life, clearly, but the Bengals aren't willing to give him what he wants, and they're playing with his money and so he's like, fine, if we can't come up with a reason for me to get the money I deserve, then I might as well go elsewhere and get paid somewhere else.
True.
Because if you think about it, he really has the potential to be a wide receiver number one.
Yeah, I can't deny the fact that he has those skills. The problem is, do you have the quarterback? Is there a quarterback without a number one receiver that he could go to?
Yeah. Who needs? I think Howard. I think the Lions possibly need him more, especially since they went ahead and lost what's his face back to Philly. Who's the freaking Johnson? I think it is that went back to. He went back to Philly. C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he went back to Philly. So I think the Lions need him more. I would like to say that it's the Packers because they're a young team that's on the rise, and that defense can get better, especially since they got help at the safety position from Xavier McKinney. But I think the Lions, where they're at, who went all the way to the NFC Championship, they need a veteran like that on that team to actually, like, if next year's goal is to actually win it all. And it could just be something like a 1-year deal.
Possibly. I mean, the Eagles been making some random moves.
Yeah, they went and got C.J. Gardner-Johnson. They went and
Josh
signed
Sweat.
Jake Elliott to another 4-year extension.
They signed Josh Sweat to a $13 million deal. It's a lot of money, by the way. I just want to point that out. Money. I'm not sure where you're getting it. Devin White went there. Like, I feel like they're trying to buy another championship.
I mean, that's every team though. You got to think about,
but not this much. Like everybody's buying to get people on their team, but they are buying everything, like the whole house.
Yeah. I'm looking at their free agency. They really signed they really signed players that really were not even going to get, like, that were on their last leg with the teams they were at. Like, they signed Paris Campbell, who was with us last year, who didn't do crap. He didn't even do anything, in my opinion, with the Colts. He just had that one good season with the Colts, and then we picked him up and then thought he was going to do the same thing, but obviously not. They went and got Devontae Parker from the Patriots, another mid receiver, in my opinion. So,
but it's confusing. Why did you go get him when you have two good receivers? And Parker doesn't. I mean, unless you're putting Smith in the slot more.
But my thing with it, like Devontae Parker, he was good on teams he was with, because he was with the Dolphins too, I believe, and he was with the Dolphins and he was with the Patriots. So where he was a wide receiver number one, clearly, but now as a receiver to Parker, I understand you want to be on a team where it's like, I want to win, but you're on a 1-year deal, not really benefiting yourself to get the touches that you're used to getting, because now you're a third option, possibly a fourth option if you think about Dallas Goedert getting his touches.
You definitely are a fourth option.
Yeah, you're a fourth option. So when it comes to throwing the ball, if it ain't going to AJ Brown, it's going to Smith. If it's not going to Devontae Smith, it's going to Dallas Goedert. And if those three are locked up, you or Paris Campbell is the last option.
That's messed up. That's messed up, my boy. It's messed up, Cricket. That's messed up. You're right, but that's messed up.
No comments. No comments. No comments. I will admit,
oh man,
the Giants, we have not been smart with our money, but somehow we managed to make a move that is like, how do we make this move, even though we paid this dude way too much? In my opinion, I think Daniel Jones should have been he should sign that free agency. I meant not free agency. He should have signed the
franchise.
Yeah, the franchise tag. He should have signed that, and Saquon should have gotten
the problem with that is that the franchise tag is way more than anybody else's. A quarterback franchise tag is out of control.
It is.
So not many people have the money or the luxury to say, I can put a quarterback on a franchise tag.
Honestly, if anything, Daniel Jones deserved the pay he should have gotten. He should have gotten a contract that like Geno Smith has. Because Geno Smith's not even getting paid like top dollar as a quarterback.
He's not.
But for some reason, I guess we felt like Daniel Jones was the answer and it wasn't even a great season. It was a great season for him, but it really was an average season for a quarterback, because he didn't really have to do much. But he's a good mobile quarterback. That's the thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, Daniel Jones's contract, I'm ready for that thing to be over with. And then on top of that, not only we paying him that much, but now we paying Brian Burns top dollar money too.
He ought to be paying some random people money,
Like he just signed a 5 year. We did the trade to pick him up from Carolina, and he signs a 5 year deal worth 150 million with 76 million guaranteed fully at signing,
That's out of control, man. Out of control.
which made no sense to me because I understand Brian Burns. If you watch his highlights, he's the real deal, but he's not he's not worth that much money.
You say if that's the case, he's top five. I think y'all paying him top five money at least.
Yes, we paying him more money than Michael Parsons gets.
Well, I think Mike is still on his rookie deal, so
Is he?
I think so.
Okay, so this is last year on it.
Depending on I think he might have a fifth year option, but
I'm looking at
I can tell you right now, Dallas is going to definitely offer him a grip to be the number one player on the defense. Cannot lie to you. Him and Diggs are probably Diggs is already on his second contract, so they'll probably restructure and maybe extend. They're definitely going to extend probably. But him, we got oh dang, I'm drawing a blank.
I'm looking at here too with us too, not only doing that contract but also signing a 1 year $5 million deal to Drew Lock. Why?
Y'all just don't be making sense sometimes, bro. I don't get y'all.
Thank you. I'm going to answer this before. Like I don't get us either, but why is Justin Simmons still unsigned? I have no idea.
Because it's asking price. So I'm assuming he's gonna get picked up before the or after the draft, depending on what teams have gotten. If they got what they needed, if they got what they wanted, or if they're missing that, then I see Justin Simmons getting picked up after the draft.
And if he is picked up, I think the best spot for him to go to on a team that needs, you know, somebody over there is possibly the Rams.
Yeah, I think the Rams definitely are gonna get him. Um, Deron Bland. I don't know why I was drawing a blank on my own cornerback. That was wild. Deron Bland is on his rookie contract.
Yeah. Packers pay Xavier McKinney, but nobody. Yeah, I think that is crazy, especially because Xavier McKinney, he has proven that he is not a good tackler at the safety position, especially when you're the last line of defense.
But you also have to think about the fact that yeah, I mean, everybody went up 30 million.
Yeah.
They went up 30 million, but that's still if you're already hitting the cap hit and you have to do a bunch of restructuring a bunch of different contracts, and what his asking price is more than what you can allow at this time. I'm telling you that's the reason why a player like Xavier McKinney, whose coverage skills are good, tackling skills are bad, is picked up before Justice Simmons because he's not asking for as much.
Yeah. The one thing I'll say, Xavier McKinney, he's a ball hawk. He'll go after that ball, but as far as tackling, yeah, not the best. Even though he did make the game-winning tackle last year in the playoffs to for us to beat Minnesota, but that was probably the one and only tackle I ever saw of his that was the actual tackle. So But Simmons, if he's gonna go anywhere, he needs to be on a team that like desperately is looking for a safety over there.
If you look at the Packers, well, first off, 19 million compared to what Justin Simmons is probably asking for 22
2022.
plus.
And you know it's crazy. The Commanders got the cap space for that.
Of course they do, but they still trying to make deals, or actually, I think a lot of teams are being a little cheap on certain things. If you look at, like, do you feel that Xavier McKinney is better than Trayvon Diggs?
No,
So you look at the
e-
market. You look at that market. Do you
even
think
I,
that's
yeah, even I get freaking nervous when we throw against y'all, on especially to his side.
I mean, at this point, who you gonna throw? What side you gonna throw to? Because if you throw a back shoulder, that's a terrible idea on Bland. First off, if nobody knows this, Deron Bland is great at getting back shoulder, like you throw across your body type of throws. That's all his interceptions were. It wasn't a straight on interception. It was the quarterback threw across his body on the opposite side of the field. Deron Bland cut that off. That is Deron Bland. Any other time, as you saw against DJ Metcalf, you saw against AJ Brown, he got cooked because they threw at him, not across to him. Like,
I agree.
please.
I got a question to ask you too. So lately, we have seen that we've been trending across the football world is Caleb Williams, and I gotta ask your opinion on what's your feelings about it.
So on Caleb Williams' talent or his impersonation of Pinky.
Both.
So one, again, as I said earlier about Hollywood players, he reminds me too much of a Hollywood player. He didn't have to, he struggled last year, and as you pointed out multiple times, he struggles against zone. Daniels over Caleb. I got Penix over Caleb. That's just my opinion. And head to head, Penix beat his ass. Just saying. I got Bo Nix over Caleb as well.
Even though Bo Nix will be a second rounder.
So it's Penix.
Yeah.
But I think he's going to struggle because they're gonna the disguising of zones is a lot heavier in the NFL than it is in college, and he's going to get hit. The blitz is going to come. Not even the blitz. Sometimes you look at a 4-man rush. You look at you got to play the 49ers. That's 4-man rush, and you still have no time. It's insane.
Well, we're gonna see what this 49ers defense does now with a new defensive coordinator.
I ain't gonna lie to you, with the talent that they have, you got why do I want to say Bosa, and I think it's not Bosa.
Bosa is over there.
Yeah, you got Bosa. Him alone is a problem, and you lead and like I said, just like with improvise. Yeah, he does improvise way too much. But Bosa, just like Micah Parsons, require double teams. They require to be chipped. Though that's a requirement, or they're going to ruin your whole plan. That leaves players one on one, and they have the type of talent on their defensive line that can get it done. If you're gonna man to man or if you're gonna double him and leave everybody else one on one.
Shoot, they'll rush. They'll rush five. They'll rush one of them cornerbacks if they wanted to.
Guaranteed they will. Um,
Me personally, with Caleb Williams, um, like you guys said, it's reading defenses. Like it's not going to be sweet no more that he's coming into the NFL now. Whereas when he was in college, played at Oklahoma for his first couple of years, and with Lincoln Riley, where you have the Big 12, where
oh
no
no,
deep.
it's Bosa. We were so wrong. I knew it. I knew it wasn't. Was it? Did we say Bosa?
Yeah, we said Bosa,
Oh, okay, my bad.
but we got where Caleb Williams was with Lincoln Riley in the Big 12 at Oklahoma, where no defense is played in the Big 12 whatsoever. Is literally like they put up numbers like it's a basketball game, and then you go to the Pac-12 and you make some noise over there, but then you also got to understand you still got Oregon, who has always been that team in the Pac-12 who has had great seasons, and then this year it so happened to be Washington with Michael Penix that like just came out. Caleb reminds me of Johnny coming out overrated. Yes, he does.
Oh yeah, he is in my
Very.
opinion, super overrated, and he hasn't proven himself to be able to handle the noise because he's feeding into it. He's
Yeah.
feeding into the noise. His interviews at the combine really showed me that you're not it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
you may not have anything to prove. You feel you don't, but being that you had a bad season, I felt like it was just time to, I may be the number one pick, but let me show you why I'm the number one pick.
yeah. I honestly felt like his pro day, I feel like it was, I expected to see what I saw. And, as far as the media too with Caleb Williams, of what they want to say about him because of him being himself, at the tournament and stuff, doing the nail polish, pink phone. I don't know why this is being overhyped because of how much pressure he has on him coming up with this draft. Because we have seen so many professional athletes wear nail polish nowadays, even players who got nail polish deals before when the women's, you know, professional sports players do. We we've seen freaking Russell Westbrook wear a dress a part of because he's done fashion. We've seen Dennis Rodman wear a full dress. And so there was nobody said nothing about that until well, Rodney, yes, I know that look, people did talk about it, yes. But I think people are going too crazy and over exaggerating it, basically making it seem like because of that he's going to have a terrible football career in the NFL.
No, I don't think that his fashion has anything to do with why he has a terrible career. I think his work ethic, his mannerisms, his ideology makes him have a bad NFL career. Even though if you get drafted to the Bears, you have a talented pool of players that should make it easier. Should. But if it turns out to be bad, it's because of you. There's no way that with that receiving core, the running back, the tight end, that you should have a bad season. You put
Yeah,
most the top 50, I don't know if I'm on the top 15. The top 10 quarterbacks on that team, they're flourishing.
oh, and I'm telling you right now, with Caleb Williams, like we know he's going to Chicago. He's got he can't screw this up. This is a team that huh?
I thought he did. Well, I tell you, when he did his interview at the combine, I felt like he messed it up for him.
That could be the case, and we could possibly be seeing him coming back to DC, which is what I've said plenty of times before.
And
That
if he does, that's a guaranteed you're gonna have a bad season.
which
One
I've said
target.
it before. Everyone's saying, "Oh, Caleb Williams is going to Chicago." I truly do not believe that is happening. I feel like Chicago is going to do something that shocks the world, and that is to get Drake May. Drake May. They will get Drake May
I
and
mean,
bring him to Chicago.
that's an interesting question. How do you feel? Because I was thinking about this earlier. How do y'all feel if a player other than Caleb Williams or Daniels gets drafted number one? How do you feel the draft is going to shake up?
Oh, you're going to see a lot of teams trying to do trade ups just to get that next big one. Because if there's a team that's next that who didn't get that quarterback they wanted, they may make a trade just so they can get something else.
I mean, I can see a lot of trade backs. I personally, in my personal opinion, I hope Dallas decides to trade back to get an extra pick in the second round or third round, but still have a draft pick in the first round. That's my opinion. Trade back, get an extra pick. But when you look at talent that is sitting out there, you have literally one of the best receivers that I have seen in a while in Harrison Jr. sitting on that board.
Not just him at receiver. You still got Malik Neighbors sitting there too.
I hear it's a lot of different misnomers about whether Neighbors is really that good. And I shouldn't listen to that because LSU receivers have been extremely talented coming out of there. I mean, you have OBJ,
Jarvis Landry.
I don't understand how they always have two receivers, by the way. It's the funniest thing. You got Jamar Chase and what's called just joined him too, didn't they? He got another LSU.
No, they're talking about figuring out what to do with Higgins because there's been rumors about Justin Jefferson coming to Cincinnati.
Yeah, no, that's what I was talking about. Justin Jefferson was planning on going. They thinking about trading with Justin Jefferson. That's what I was talking about.
Yeah,
LSU getting both they're basically the LSU crew back together.
That's the Cincinnati Tigers at that point. I mean, it's the Bengals still. It's still a Tiger, but that's the LSU Bengals at that point.
But they have so many good receivers. It's crazy that Malik Neighbors is the misnomer, in my opinion. I don't think he will be. I think he's going to be a really good, solid receiver. I'm not sure if he's number one material at this point right now.
You know who I saw highlights, but there's a receiver that I haven't even seen a lot of people talk about on social media in the sports world because we've talked so much about Neighbors and Harrison Jr. We have not heard a lot about South Carolina's own Xavier Legette.
That boy quick as hell.
Bruh.
That boy quick as hell.
Xavier Legette, like honestly, if you close your eyes and hear him talk, you would think you hear freaking Randy Moss.
I think that's what it is. Everybody is comparing it because of his voice. Oh, it's a Randy Moss moment. I'm like,
it's a Randy Moss moment, but I'm gonna tell you right now, with his ability, like I watched his highlights, and he kind of has that same build as DK Metcalf, Debo Samuel, those guys, but he's got speed too.
Yeah, that boy running a 4.39. Get out of here.
Yeah. Xavier Legette is slept on. Like,
is anybody that's getting that?
Imagine if Seattle was just like, all right, we getting Xavier, so we got DK and Xavier. Yo, that would be the funniest.
This is just unnecessary.
Like you gonna have two grown men like who can hit you in the open field like they defenders, like, and they got the speed to go upfield too. Like,
I you know, it's funny. I hadn't actually looked at the whole receiving core, the receiving draft picks, but as I'm looking at them, there's some intriguing names when you look at both the Texas receivers, Mitchell and Worthy. I think Worthy, I don't, was he one of the ones that broke 4.3? I'm not sure if it was him or somebody else, but I know Leggett broke the 4.3. Well, the 4.39. But Worthy's really good. You got Coleman from Florida State. People are actually sleeping on Jermaine Burton from
yeah,
Alabama, and I say this because he's a sure catcher. I don't know. I didn't even realize he was 6 foot. But that dude's. I watched him. He is a sure catcher. He's not a body catcher. He catches with his hands, and he's very consistent in catching in traffic.
I'm
Um,
looking at the rankings right now for this year's NFL draft for receivers. Of course, like we said, you're gonna have Marvin Harrison Jr. at 1, Malik Neighbors at 2. They got
Romeo Duza.
yeah, they got Romeo Duza next, which
Yep.
that actually shocked me because I want to say like he definitely had a great year in
Yeah.
Washington, especially with Michael Penix throwing him the ball. But I don't know yet. Like I don't know if I'm completely sold on him yet because I'm looking at these other guys, like we said, Leggett. We've seen Xavier Worthy. It's a lot of Xaviers actually in this freaking receiving draft.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of them. But
One more than necessary.
yeah, like even like who else? Um, Javon Baker from UCF. Like he had a great year. He had a underrated season that doesn't get talked about enough, only because UCF was they just
They didn't play
yeah,
like
there's
they
nothing to
did
say
the
really.
year
They just
before.
didn't play up to it. But yeah, I mean, I will say that's probably what helped him out. Dunze, that helped him for him to show out in the playoffs. That's what helped his draft status out. It's
Yep.
just it just makes no sense to me though how he had a great playoffs and everybody ranked him high, but because Michael Penix, being his quarterback, just had one bad game in the championship, and he went from being a top round one pick to just okay, he's gonna be a second round.
It happens. It
Yeah,
does happen. Because people didn't believe in him like he believed in himself, and how Washington believed in him. And it takes one coach to say, I'm pretty sure couple teams went to his pro day, or his pro day, to check him out and get another conversation with him. And I'm pretty sure he's going to end up on a team. Um,
I agree with Cryptic on that. Penix injury history when he was in Indiana, he battled a lot of injuries, and so it's where I think teams are being conservative right now because they don't want to get him as a number one pick, and then if he gets injured again, it's back to crap. Now we gotta get a quarterback.
but that's anybody. That's anybody. Anybody can get injured.
Yeah,
It doesn't make it a guarantee. This is the reason why certain teams go after players like, oh, we can't expect him to just be injured every year. We have a good facility. We've done our tests. We've put our medical staff to work. They gave him a clean bill of health. they didn't see anything wrong or anything to, be concerned with. So we should believe in him. Let's take him. And I see that I get it. The injury thing does put off people, but my problem would have been him having an injury this year. 2 torn ACLs,
Yeah.
same knee, in his shoulder. Yeah, that was back then in Indiana, who doesn't have the same medical staff as Washington,
Mm-hmm.
and he played all year.
I'm even looking. I'm still looking at rankings for NFL draft prospects. I'm looking at the running backs now because the new story of running backs are easily replaceable. Jonathan Brooks,
Number one.
yeah, as expected, um, being number one overall because he had a tremendous year in Texas. I'm surprised Blake Corum has dropped this far where he's at.
They got him at 3. I'm looking at him at 3.
I'm looking at the CBS NFL. They got him at like 1, 2, 3, 4. They got him at 6.
At 6? That's wild.
The only person ahead of him besides Jonathan Brooks I can say like I feel like makes sense is Jalen Wright from Tennessee. But Braylon Allen from Wisconsin, Trey Benson from Florida State, and Bucky Irvin from Oregon, I just don't believe.
So I'm looking at the ESPN one, and they have it Brooks, Marshawn Lloyd from USC, which I don't not sure about that one. And then is Blake Corum, which not bad. They both have the same grade. I don't know. Jalen Wright is at 5 though.
Marshawn Lloyd is at 9 on the one I'm looking at.
That's crazy.
But yeah, Jalen Wright is probably the only person I could say if you want to put it in front of Blake Corum, that's fine. But for him to be 6th, I do not believe that.
Yeah, no.
So
I would say that I'm kind of surprised that the Georgia running back Kendall Milton is all the way here as 18th or 17th on this one, but
people are saying Blake had a great O line. I mean, that's the true. Michigan had a great O line to block for Corum, but you got to think too.
That's the same thing you could say for JJ McCarthy, who's supposed to be the 3rd quarterback off the board.
Yeah, and you got to think about all these players in the NFL who, all these teams in the NFL who have great O lines that block for the running backs, and say, "Oh, that running back is great over there." Well, you got to tip your hat to the O line for blocking for him because you can take a running back who's 50th overall in the rankings or 50th overall pick that no one expects to do anything. But because he got a good O line that blocks for him, he can get upfield.
Yeah, I mean it's more about the yards after contact that I look at, like first contact. So that's what really tells me, like, oh, that's more of a better running back. Teams love the running back that makes extra yards out of nowhere. Agreed, but that's like I said, the yards after contact is what it's about. Like, can you give me those extra yards? Are you a 4.5 yards per carry, or are you a 2.3?
Which we saw when the Lions, when they had Swift, what he was doing there, and then he went to Philly, where you got Philly having such a great O line with Kelsey and all of them. Dude, he had more yards over in Philly than he had with Detroit.
But I think at that time Detroit's line was not as good as it is last year.
Yeah,
Um,
he was in a time when they were still rebuilding.
yeah,
But when he went to Philly, I think that was his best season, which I really thought Philly was going to keep him. But, they had their sights on something better.
I don't see. I'm be honest with you. A lot of these running backs, I could see going in the second round. I
I
don't.
think Blake Corum will be a second rounder.
Yeah, I mean they haven't ranked 69th overall, um, so I can see a lot of these run. Even Jonathan Brooks, who doesn't scream. He doesn't scream to me. I'm a first round running back. Like this is a can't miss product.
Yeah.
So I can see a lot of these running backs going second round, third round, and still being productive. I mean, Jalen Wright, who honestly, I mean, 5'11", 210. That's just that's running back height. That's just running back.
Now, since we talking here about like these players in the draft, what's your opinion on Brock Bowers? I don't think we've ever talked about Brock Bowers. You know,
Ooh, Brock Bowers.
from Georgia, the tight end.
Oh, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I can't put him up with maybe a Kelsey, but I think he can be a top 15 tight end easily. Depending on the team. Let's say he goes to a team like the Bills or the Chargers. I don't think Chargers don't need. Do they have Henry? I don't really see a team that's in dire need of a tight end. I mean, if he goes to the Bucks with that high powered offense, which they're going to need more help since they lost Mike Williams,
Yeah.
that could work for him. Um, but 10th overall, who's got the 10th pick? I don't got 10th pick.
I think Brock Bowers. I think even though he's ranked 13th overall as in the NFL draft rankings, but number one for tight ends.
Yeah.
I think any team that picks him up, they got a great weapon. Not only can he go upfield and catch passes, but he can block.
Yes, and
And
that's a great skill to have.
he
A
can
tight
block
end
it.
could
He's
block.
your more traditional tight end that can block. Whereas now you got a lot of tight ends who basically they put out on the outside, like your Darren Wallers and Evan Ingrams, to put as receivers because they really can't block. He's an actual blocking tight end.
Yeah.
So shoot, that might be something like I wouldn't even be surprised if you see Washington be like, hey, you know what? Even though we do need a quarterback, but hey, we didn't get the quarterback we wanted. We may got to we need blocking, but we also need another receiver. We may just have to go Bowers. So we get that blocking. So we get that extra blocking for Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler, but then we also got a receiver too that we can throw to other than Jahan Dotson and Terry McLaurin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you, Cryptic, on that. He does remind me of Andrews.
Oh no. What are we doing?
You froze up.
Looks like it. Having some technical difficulties again. The whole show. You wait till damn near the end.
We can wrap it up because I think we about covered everything today too.
Yeah. Um I think next show we should look at the draft on the defensive side of the ball.
Yep.
And
We look on the defensive side of the ball for the draft. and then we can at least cover up one of the teams that we have in our off-season looks, which is the Cardinals.
Oh, and they need a lot of help.
Yeah, we have the Cardinals and Chargers next, so we can look on the defensive side of the ball and then talk about those two teams.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to try.
He's going to try and get back on. But yes, shout out Cryptic. Thanks for joining our show, giving us questions, interacting with us. We'll be back next week. I think Rodney's might try and get back on to give a shout out, but until then, looks like we out.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. I'm back now, finally. Hey, wait to the very end. I want to thank everybody for coming through. We had a couple people bouncing in and out. Cryptic, my man, appreciate you for stopping through, talking with us a little bit. We have to get you. We have to get you on one night that we're in here having a good time. But I want to thank my co-star, Big Darrell, who's still muted. Thank everybody, all of the Vanity Sports team. You guys have been amazing. Thank y'all. Keep supporting. You got what you got to do.
Yep, shout out to Vanity Sports. You know what? Justin, Zeno, Marv, all you guys.
PSP, appreciate y'all. Champ, you guys have been some of our biggest supporters, and we appreciate everybody for supporting us through our start. We're gonna keep pushing it, and we can't wait for the season to start. But maybe, hey, we should start talking about some UFL stuff too. I want to talk about some UFL games.
Yeah, we can get into the UFL since that season has actively started.
Yeah, so we'll get into some UFL, probably some highlights next week or highlight plays that we saw. But thank you guys. We love you, and we out.